The stagecoach wheel shattered like a gunshot, and in that split second, Catherine Walsh realized two things. She was going to die in Montana territory, and she wasn't going to die alone. As the coach pitched sideways into the abyss, she grabbed little Emma Harper close, becoming the child's shield as they plummeted 20 feet into a snowbank. Blood hot against the freezing air ran down her temple. The November wind sliced through her thin traveling coat, and somewhere in the twisted wreckage behind them, Emma's fever-ridden mother lay silent. Too silent. Before we continue, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and hit subscribe, because what happens next will change everything. Catherine's world tilted as she fought to her feet, her left ankle erupting in white-hot pain. Emma whimpered thank God, breathing. The driver sprawled motionless near the splintered coach, his neck bent wrong. Mrs. Harper. Catherine pushed through snow that seemed determined to swallow her, heart jackhammering against her ribs. Please, God, please. But God wasn't listening. One look at Josephine Harper's ashen face, her chest that would never rise again, and Catherine understood. She was now responsible for a 7-year-old orphan she'd known for 3 weeks, stranded on a mountain that wanted them dead. And night was falling. This was supposed to be simple. Escort a widow and child from St. Louis to Helena. 3 weeks. $30. A fresh start in a territory where no one whispered Doc Brennan's disgraced daughter when she walked by. Now, alone with an orphan, a useless ankle, and darkness swallowing the mountain whole. Miss Catherine? Emma's voice trembled. Where's Mama? Catherine pulled the girls close, wrapping them in her wool shawl. The question would have to wait right now, she needed to keep them breathing. Temperature dropping. Snow falling thicker. Their breath turning to ice crystals in the air. She salvaged 2 blankets and Mrs. Harper's carpetbag before her ankle betrayed her completely. Inside, laudanum for the fever that had stolen Josephine, spare clothes, a leather journal, and at the bottom a small pouch. $12. $12 between them and Montana's mercy. Is Mama sleeping? Those brown eyes knew. Children always knew. Catherine couldn't lie. She'd been lied to enough to understand that betrayal. Your Mama's gone to heaven, sweetheart. But I promise I'm going to take care of you now. Emma didn't cry. Just nodded and burrowed deeper. That silence broke Catherine worse than any tears. Night devoured them. Catherine sang every hymn she could remember, anything to distract Emma from the cold eating through their bones. Her ankle ballooned inside her boot. Wind cut like broken glass. She kept scanning for light ranch house, campfire, anything human. When dawn broke grey and merciless, Catherine knew, they move or they die. She fashioned a crutch from wreckage and tied Emma to her back with the shawl. Every step down that mountain was agony. But you don't stop when someone needs you. You never stop. 2 miles later, maybe 3, pain made distance meaningless hoofbeats. 3 riders materialized from the tree line, moving fast. Catherine's hand found the derringer in her pocket, her father's last gift before he stopped calling her daughter. Before Chicago. Before everything shattered. Easy there, The lead rider slowed his bay gelding, hands visible. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Dark hair beneath his Stetson and a face carved by sun and something harder. But his eyes grey as winter sky held something unexpected. Intelligence. And concern. Looks like you've had some trouble. Catherine straightened despite Emma's weight, despite her ankle screaming. Stage went over. Driver and Mrs. Harper are dead. The child needs shelter. Her voice cracked traitorously. I need medical attention. He swung down in one fluid motion, though she caught a slight limp. War injury. Half these men carried the rebellion in their bones. James Thornton. This is my land. Ranch is 4 miles south. He gestured to his companions. Ben Morrison and young Pete Davis will handle the deceased. You're coming with me. I can ride, Catherine protested as her ankle buckled. Thornton caught her before the ground could. His hands strong, certain, lifted her like she weighed nothing. Most things about men frightened her these days. But this felt different. This felt like relief. We'll argue about your stubbornness, he said, settling her across his saddle before swinging up behind, one arm firm around her waist, once you're not half frozen. The Thornton Ranch emerged through morning mist like salvation made real, sprawling two-story house, weathered barn, corrals full of prime horses. Smoke curling from 2 chimneys. This wasn't survival. This was prosperity. This was a life. A woman rushed out, grey hair practical, face lined with concern. Lord have mercy, James. Stage accident, Margaret. Miss Walsh and Emma Harper. Prepare the guest room and send for Doc Bailey. He carried Catherine up the porch steps. Wake Rosie. She'll want to meet Emma. That week changed everything. James Thornton ran 2,000 head across 4,000 acres. He knew breeding schedules, market prices, every aspect of his empire. Worked dawn to dark, came in smelling of horses and hay, hands calloused and capable. His daughter Rosie was a lonely girl pretending not to be. She latched onto Emma immediately, but Catherine saw through it. Rosie was starving for softness in a house gone hard after her mother's death. Emma healed the way children do, with resilience that shattered hearts. Still asked for Mema every morning. By afternoon, giggling at Rose's stories. Catherine's ankle mended slowly. Doc Bailey said 2 weeks minimum. She chafed at idleness, so she found ways to help mending, reviewing account books when James mentioned being behind, teaching the girls their letters. The accounts changed everything. Your bookkeeper's been skimming. Catherine held out the ledger one evening, just her and James by the fire. She pointed to discrepancies. Small amounts, consistent. Past year? Close to $300. James's jaw tightened. Ben Morrison's handled my books 5 years. Since before Isabel died. I'm sorry. Betrayal cut deeper than any blade. But numbers don't lie. Long silence. Then, you could do his job better. Not a question. Yes. And doctoring. For the ranch and nearby families. Yes. Heart-pounding. This was it, the offer she'd been half dreading, half praying for. I'd like to hire you, Miss Walsh. Bookkeeper and medical practitioner. Room and board plus $50 monthly. We'll build you a clinic behind the barn. $50. More than 6 months in Chicago doing piecework and laundry. Enough to save. Plan. Keep Emma while they figured out her uncle's situation. I accept. She offered her hand like men did. James took it warm, firm, and something passed between them. A current that had nothing to do with business. Everything to do with how his thumb brushed her knuckles before releasing her. Then Ben Morrison came drunk and armed, and everything exploded. Rosie burst through the clinic door. Papa says lock up. Mr. Morrison's got a gun. Catherine's hands steadied through pure will. Stay here with Emma. Don't open for anyone but your father or me. She grabbed her medical bag and the derringer inside and headed for the house. Ben swayed on the porch, pistol down but finger on trigger. 3 strangers on horseback behind him. This is my land, Ben. James's voice stayed level despite the gun. Leave. Your land. I worked 5 years. Kept your books, your secrets, kept my mouth shut when Isabel died and you could barely function. This is how you repay me. Accusing me of theft. Replacing me with some Chicago woman who shows up from nowhere. Catherine stepped onto the porch before thinking. I'm no thief, Mr. Morrison. I'm a bookkeeper who found your theft in the ledgers. If you'd been better at arithmetic, you might have gotten away with it. Ben's hand twitched. Gun started rising. Margaret's voice rang from upstairs. I've got a rifle on your head, Ben Morrison. Shot elk before you were born. One wrong move and I paint this yard with your brains. The standoff stretched seconds, feeling like hours. Then Ben laughed. Bitter. Broken. Lowered his gun. After he rode out, James turned to her. She saw her own fear reflected in his eyes. You shouldn't have come out. He insulted me. I won't hide. Catherine, don't. She raised a hand, suddenly exhausted. Don't ask about Chicago. Don't ask what I'm running from. Just let me work, and that'll be enough. But he moved closer, hands gentle on her shoulders. What if I want more than enough? What if I want to know why a woman with your education ends up escorting strangers west? Why you flinch when I move too fast? So she told him. About Dr. Brennan's daughter who'd assisted in surgeries, learned more than most men with degrees. About Marcus Ashford courting her properly until the night in his father's study. Fighting him off. Screaming loud enough for servants to hear. Watching Marcus spin a story about her seducing him. Her father believing Marcus. Because Marcus's father sat on the hospital board. Being cast out with nothing but clothes, $50, and a derringer thrown at her feet like she was a stranger. So you see, she finished, voice raw, I'm not respectable. I'm exactly what Ben implied, a woman with a ruined reputation starting over where no one knows her name. James was quiet. Then, Marcus Ashford is a coward and liar. Your father's a fool. Ben Morrison's a drunk who can't face his sins, so he paints everyone else with his brush. He tipped her chin up. You're brave, skilled, honest. Those are what matter here. The rest is noise. James. His name felt dangerous. Too intimate. Too full of undeserved hope. I lost Isabel 3 years ago. Pneumonia took her in days. When she died, I thought that was it. I'd had my chance at love. He released her chin but caught her hand, lacing their fingers. Then you showed up half frozen and defiant, protecting a child who wasn't yours because it was right. Every day since, you've made this house feel like home again. His other hand cupped her face. You're essential to me, Catherine. To Rosie, to this operation. Somewhere along the way, you stopped being my employee and started being something else. What? Barely breathing. Someone I can't imagine losing. Someone I want to wake to every morning and come home to every night. Someone I trust with my daughter, my books, my heart if you'll have it. Heart hammering hard enough to crack ribs. You're asking me to stay. I'm asking you to marry me. Be Rose's mother. Build a life here. Take my name or keep yours, I don't care. I just care about you being here, being mine, being happy. Voice dropping. Say yes, Catherine. Please. She thought about Chicago. Her father's cold eyes. Josephine Harper dying in snow. Ben Morrison and all the men who'd looked at her with assumption instead of respect. Then she thought about Rosie teaching Emma to braid hair. Margaret's pleased smile over proper biscuits. How James looked at her across the table like she was precious. About belonging. Being wanted. Having home. Yes, she said, watching joy break across his face like sunrise. Yes, I'll marry you. He kissed her gentle, sure, his arms a promise. Miss Catherine. Miss Catherine. Emma barreled from the clinic, Rosie behind. Did Mr. Thornton kiss you? Are you getting married? Can we be sisters? Catherine laughed, opening her arms. Yes to all of it, sweetheart. We're going to be a family. James wrapped around all three, and standing there with Margaret cheering from upstairs and Montana stars emerging overhead, Catherine felt something she'd thought lost forever. Home. 2 weeks later, they married in the Thornton parlor with Margaret and the hands witnessing. Catherine wore simple blue that Margaret helped alter, hair pinned with wildflowers the girls gathered. Later, celebration ended and girls finally asleep, James led her to the porch. November air cold but clear, stars scattered like flung diamonds. Henry Harper wrote back. Wants Emma when she's ready. Says she's got a place with him, but understands if she'd rather stay where she's settled. Catherine leaned into his warmth. What did you tell him? That's Emma's choice. And yours. You're her legal guardian now. I want her to stay. Is that selfish? She has blood family. You love her. James kissed her forehead. That's not selfish. That's human. I think Henry knows his niece is better off with 2 parents and a sister than a bachelor running a mercantile. They stood watching stars wheel overhead, bunkhouse lights glowing against darkness. Catherine thought about the woman 6 months ago, broken, bitter, running from shame with nothing but a derringer and determination. Here she was. Home. What are you thinking? James asked. She smiled up at him. Husband, future. I'm thinking I might believe in luck after all. He laughed and kissed her properly deep, promising, full of all their days and nights ahead. When they went inside, Rosie called sleepily, "Good night, Mama Catherine." "Good night, Papa. Good night, sweet girl, Catherine called back, heart so full it might burst. Montana winter would be long and hard. There would be storms, losses, challenges she couldn't imagine. But there would also be this warmth, love, family, purpose. A life built not on what she'd lost, but on what she'd found star. As James led her upstairs, Catherine knew, this was better than any future she'd imagined in Chicago's glittering ballrooms. This was real. Earned. Hers. This was home. If you're still with us, you understand why this story matters. Click the video on your screen now for another tale where courage rewrites destiny in the untamed frontier. Subscribe, and if this story moved you, consider a super chat to help us keep bringing these voices to life. Your support changes everything. Thank you for being part of our community.